Does riding a mobility scooter on a cruise ship entitle you to be a jerk? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about everybody that rides a mobility scooter, because the vast majority are good, polite people. But there are a few out there that give y'all a bad name. Now, I get that people on mobility scooters, they face different challenges. Waiting for an elevator, having people cut in front of them, because, there's jerks on both sides. It's not just one side. And maybe these comments come out of frustration. I don't know. But is it really fair to say, well, you don't use a mobility scooter, so you should not be allowed to use elevators at all? I mean, is that right? Is that fair? Or is it right to say you do not walk as fast as I can ride, so you should be getting out of my way? Is that right? Is there not a happy medium where everybody can simply get along while on board a cruise ship? Well, today I got two comments for you. One is going to be read by Carnival Cruise Line's brand ambassador, John Heald, and then one I'm going to read to you guys. And first, we're going to talk about, should there be dedicated elevators on board a cruise ship? Well, maybe that is where we're headed. Maybe that is what it's going to have to happen some days. The amount of mobility scooters on cruise ships has increased dramatically over the years and may continue to increase. Maybe that's something cruise lines are going to have to do going forward into the future. Maybe that's what it's going to take to eliminate some of the issues and problems. But to say you don't have a mobility issue, you should take the stairs, well, I don't know if that's a fair statement either.
And today on this very quick video, sorry, I have to make it quick. I want to talk about something a little more serious. I get this question all the time, and this one was written to me last week. I saved it only because it was, how do I put this, to the point, and a bit of a thing about me at the end, which doesn't matter, but it just goes to show how intense this subject is. And of course, we are talking about the fact that every Tuesday night I like to wear fishnet stocking. Oh, sorry, no. It's about, well, let me read this post out from this lady. When is Carnival Cruise Line going to pledge to make people walk the stairs, not the plank, walk the stairs if they are not physically challenged? Myself, I live in a single level home and have to use a mobility scooter. Find it so frustrating when I see able-bodied Carnival passengers showing total disrespect for those of us who depend on elevators. They push in front of us and do not allow us to access the elevators most of the time. You should have one elevator in every section 24 hours a day, only for mobility scooters, disabled and physically challenged passengers. John, you can scold me for saying this, but I really do not care. For it is, I won't read that last bit. It is my wish that one day you have serious bad health and find yourself using a mobility scooter. Well, I'll ignore that last sentence for the most part. There's a whole chunk I didn't read there because it was a little harsh, to say the least. Listen, I think if we could, we probably would have an elevator in each of the sections. So you take a normal ship, there are three sections, right? There's the forward, middle section, and the aft section of elevators. But to have a crew member, basically, even if you just do it the busy times from, say, 7 in the morning through to 10 o'clock at night, we would literally have to take three crew members, 4 crew members every time on a shift basis, and have them basically as an old department store, are you being served elevator operator, going up men's underwear. Some of you have no idea what are you being served is, but never mind, you can Google that one. So at the moment, listen, it's just not possible, but it is something that I think we are going to need to think about. If you'd asked this question 10 years ago, it would have been a surprise, because there were very few mobility scooters. And I'm just stating the obvious that, I looked on one ship, and I won't say which one, but one of the ships sailing this weekend, I had a look, and I asked somebody on board, to give me a sort of figure of how many he thought, and it was at least 100, and that's normal. Now, you don't need to tell us you have a mobility scooter. You don't need to pre-advise us. But I do understand the challenges. I really do. There's just more than ever these days, and it is definitely a challenge. We want to do better. We want to do more. I think it's safe to say that the vast amount of guests who sail, if they see somebody in a mobility scooter or definitely in a wheelchair, they are always going to give preference to them. But there are times when the elevators get ridiculously busy. It would be silly of me not to say that. And a massive dollop of patience is required. And I think if people can use the stairs, they do. We'll look at it and see what we can do better from both sides. This lady said, it is my wish that one day you have serious bad health and find yourself using a mobility scooter. Well, maybe I will. I'm not quite sure I'm ready for one of those yet, even though I do have a knackered knee. But if I do have a mobility scooter, I'm going to get the food and beverage director to hand me loads of food. I'm going to get big buckets of French fries from Guy's, slices of pizza and burgers, and I'm just going to drive around the ship randomly handing out food. It will be like my version of Meals on Wheels. Maybe next cruise you'll get lucky and the doors will open and it will be completely empty when that elevator door opens, and you will do exactly as I do. Whenever you see the doors open of an elevator and there's nobody there, you'll think the same as me. Ghost.
So there's Carnival Cruise Line's brand ambassador, his response to having dedicated elevators. But again, it's not fair to say that because you don't have a mobility issue, because you are able-bodied, you have to take the stairs. Because look, at the end of the day, every single person on that ship, they paid for their vacation. And just because an able-bodied person wants to use the elevator, well, they paid for it the same as you. You can't exclude anybody. So while cruise lines in the future may do some type of dedicated elevator, you're not going to stop anybody else from using the regular elevators if that's what they want to do. As a cruiser myself, I paid for my cruise. If I want to ride up and down on that elevator, I will ride up and down on that elevator. I won't take the stairs just because somebody else wants or expects me to. If I take the stairs, it's because I choose to take the stairs. And a lot of times I do. A lot of times, especially if I'm going from upper decks to lower decks, it's easier and it's faster to go right down the stairs than it is to wait for an elevator, particularly during the busy times. But yeah, people do need to be polite to each other, whether you're on a mobility scooter or not. But it's not even always about elevators. How about if you simply believe that people are walking down the corridor heading to their cabin? They are in your way. You are trying to get somewhere. You're trying to ride your mobility scooter, and there's people in your way. Why are they not just moving for you? And somehow this means the cruise line must do more for you because you are on a mobility scooter. Really? There needs to be more care for your mobility scooter users. I was on the Valor last week for the TA. We had some bad weather one night. I tried to get through the corridor to my cabin. There were people not using the handrails. They were just slowly weaving down the corridor, oblivious that they were holding me up. I know they knew I was trying to get past. I was too polite to say anything. It is another example, John, of how Carnival must try to do more for mobility scooter users. So it was rough seas, the ship was rocking, the ship were moving, and people were slowly trying to get back to their cabin, trying to walk back to their cabin. They were oblivious, but knew at the same time. How are you oblivious and know at the exact same time? I don't know about that, but they knew you were trying to get past them, and Carnival must do more. What exactly is Carnival supposed to do? You have a moving ship. People are trying to carefully get to their cabins. You're behind them. You obviously can roll faster than they're walking. You don't say, "Excuse me, can I get by you?" Anything like that. Instead, you write in a comment that the cruise line doesn't do enough because people walking down the corridor to their cabin are in your way. So able-bodied people shouldn't be in the elevators, and slow walkers should just get out of the way. I'm trying to get to my cabin. Jerks. That's why I said at the beginning, jerks. Whether born out of frustration or not, whether you're in a hurry to get somewhere or not, doesn't mean just because somebody is walking, they are necessarily in your way. Especially if you don't say, "Excuse me, can I get by you?" Instead, you write in comments demanding the cruise line change. And this to me is simply another example of the few. The few, remember the vast majority are good people, the few giving a bad name to everybody else. And then this mobility scooter debate of who's right and who's wrong continues over the actions of just a couple of people. And that is going to be our video for today. If you've enjoyed today's video, do me a favor and hit that like button. If you haven't done so yet, do me a favor and hit subscribe. It is free to do so. Helps our channel grow. Let you know anytime we put out a new video. Hope everyone out there is having a really great day. And like always, we will see you out on the high seas.